Greetings, family. So my question today is Gambia a lawless society? And are you ready to live in a society like this? Okay. And the reason why I am posing this question is because I sort of ran into a sister in the community. And, whenever I see our people, I go out my way to greet them. How are you doing? How's it going? Because you just never know, where people are. And I don't ask people how you doing and not wait for a response. Like a lot of fake people do that. They'll be like, oh, how you doing? And before you can even get the answer out, they telling you their whole life story or they're gone. If I ask you how you're doing, it's because I am genuinely concerned. I genuinely care about how you're doing, right? Because if there's something I can say or something I can do to assist you with whatever you're dealing with, that's what I'm here for. Even if it's just a smile, even if it's just a yes, keep your head up, or I'm glad to hear you're okay. That concern genuinely comes from me. It's not made up. Okay, so let's move on. So I run into this sister, I ask her how she's doing. We end up walking because we going in the same direction. And she begins to tell me that, she was attacked. And I'm like, what? She says, yeah, I went to get a service, which I'm going to assume was some kind of, I don't know, nails, hair, whatever. She goes to get a service. And when it was time to pay, either she didn't agree with the cost or they were trying to overcharge her. I don't know. But let's just get into that because all she said was she was getting a service. It ended with 4 women attacking her, taking her cell phone, basically jumping her, as we call it in the States. When it's more than one person, we call it jumping. At least that's the story I was told, right? That she was jumped. And that these women attacked her, took her cell phone, and I could feel, the trauma of it from her. So I was listening to her and I was like, well, did you report it? And she's like, yeah, I went to the police station. I told them where it happened. She said, they retrieved my phone. They got it from the individuals, but nothing else happened. There were no charges pressed. The police were basically like, you got your phone back, and I was just like, it's like there's a mentality here because this is not as much about the sister's story because that is her story to tell as it is about the way things are handled, because it's not the first time that I've heard a story like this, right? So if you are assaulted, and that brings me over to the legal piece, right, where we talk about, is it a lawless society? Because there's lots of laws, but the laws are based on like common law, right? Like really old stuff, right? In the States, we have model penal code, we got common law. Each state has its own laws, but here in the Gambia, it's that old law, okay? Which means a lot of modern things that might happen are not addressed in the law. So they're pulling from that to try to find some sort of compromise or reprimand, if you will. And so certain things they've chosen not to address, right? So for example, gave you the sister's example. The police are basically like, you got assaulted, but more importantly, you got your phone back. Like, get over it, move on. Not addressing the emotional distress of that, the trauma that these individuals should not be allowed. They are culpable, right? They should be held responsible for attacking someone because now this becomes a part of their business model that if you don't do what we want you to do, we're going to attack you, okay? And then you have people who don't want to disclose who the people are or what business it is, which means other people will go there and experience it as well. Okay, so now we got this lawless business, right? They just doing their own thing. Okay, so then there was another sister who had a situation with the police, right? I guess she went to park. They didn't want her to park a certain place. She went somewhere else and parked. When she came back, She saw someone else parked in the space and probably questioned it. The officer didn't like the way he was being questioned, like he was being accused of lying, which is an offense, right? It's a cultural offense. So now we got two different laws happening, right? So he slapped in her face, like basically like, you don't talk to me like that. Now, where we come from, that would be an abuse of power, right? That would be police brutality and excessive use of force. They're not going to court for that. Okay. How they will do it here is they will try to reach some kind of agreement behind the scenes. Hopefully, he'll get a tap on his wrist or a reprimand from his higher officer. But it's not like he's going to get suspended and lose pay or risk losing his job, right? That's not a thing. And if it is a thing, it's coming from higher up, like you was connected somewhere to make sure this person gets addressed, right? You have the money and the power to see that this person is getting this situation addressed. So it's stuff like that. I've also heard about women, getting knocked down, beat up for their phones in their communities, homes being broken into. And no, there are no investigations. Nobody's held responsible. It's just secure your space. But yet, not only is it a lawless society, it's a weaponless society, right? You're not allowed to have guns and stuff in your home. So people have machetes, or they have dogs, or they have security. So something like this happens to you, and you take a L. Lose, pick up your feelings, keep it moving, because nothing's going to be done about it. Okay. So, all that little stuff that people do in the West where somebody might say something to you and you want to mouth off. Trust that if you get slapped in your mouth or you get slapped down to the ground, that person that did it is not going to be punished. They are not going to be held accountable. So you need to decide who you're going to pick your battles with, okay? And what battles are worthy of this kind of attention and which ones aren't, okay? One of the things I've learned is to really observe people. And I can tell, from their body language and from their eyes and the tone of their voice when someone's temper or anger is escalating. Okay. And I will generally say to people, so are we having a conversation or are we arguing? Right? Because I'm not interested in arguing with you. Or why do you feel like you need to get offended because I'm trying to explain something to you? You are from another line of thought. I am from another line of thought. We need to be able to talk to each other to understand where we're going with this discussion, right? Because fighting, arguing, yelling at each other, no one's going to hear anything. But a lot of people can't do that. And they're so busy trying to get their point across, the other person is already in that mode of attack. Okay. And now you're being attacked and not really understanding why, because you thought you were, negotiating or something. So you want to really be able to weather who you're dealing with, who you're trusting with your physical safety as well. So I wanted to have this discussion because I'm hearing it a lot. Break-ins, people being attacked, people being jumped. And it's always single females, right? At least from what I hear, it's single females. I haven't heard anything about males. I know a couple of couples may have dealt with robberies and things like that. But I'm talking about the single females here that are in apartments or compounds alone. They are dealing with aggressive landlords who kind of feel like, well, you live alone. I should be able to come to your space anytime I feel like it, right? Or you should be entertaining me as a single woman because they know you're there by yourself or you might be alone with your children. So you really have to think about, as a single woman, is moving to a society like this going to be to your benefit, and how you are going to conduct yourself, how you're going to move. Because one of the things I always say is have your connections on the ground. I have many males here who I consider my brothers, and they look out for me. They call me, they check on me. I have brothers in the community that they see how I move, so they're very respectful. You will get that one or two that don't know who you are or who you're connected to, and they will try it, and you have to just address them and be like, listen, I don't mind saying good morning to you, okay? But you asking me my name and if I'm married and, if my family is like, you overstepping. You don't need to know my name. Say hi and keep it moving, okay? Or you may even have to say, like, I have a man, I'm married, and hope that makes them back off. Because some people, they persistent. So I wanted to have this conversation about being in a lawless society, because don't assume because there are laws that you have access to them. Do not assume that because there are courts that you have access to them. There are a number of cultural steps that you have to address, right? Sometimes you go to the head of a community or the alcala, if you will, and other times you go to a local council and hope that they will address the matter. But as far as you getting attacked and thinking the police are going to arrest somebody and take them to jail, that's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. I'm telling you, like, I know people have been attacked and they have it on video. These people might be taken to the station, but they will be released. They're not going to hold them. They're not going to hold them. So meantime, now you still have to worry about your safety, because now you've made a report on them. They know you made the report, and you better hope they're not coming back for revenge, right? Because you told. So there's that type of situation. You really just have to be on your P's and Q's, as we say, be on point and know who you're dealing with and watch who you're moving around and who you're doing business with. I generally don't socialize a lot. I socialize enough where I'm in groups to meet people and associate with different people, but I'm not out really late at night alone. I don't do the club scene where there's a whole lot of people. I'm not allowing people in my hair. I just do not. If I'm not vibing your energy, you're not going to touch my hair, period. Definitely, if you don't have natural hair, you're not touching my hair. And if I look at your hair and it's a mess, you're not touching my hair. So guess what? I don't let people in my hair, right? Because I don't have time to be deciphering if you got good energy, if you're a good spirit, all this kind of stuff. No, no. So I don't let anyone in my hair. And I definitely, even massages, right? Different things like that. I don't like people touching me if I don't know how your energy is working. Some people choose to be like out of alignment, and they don't care who touches them, and they don't care who, brings them energy. But I have to be very careful with that because I'm very sensitive to it. So I'm saying this to say, protect yourself in every way possible, and especially if you're planning on moving anywhere on the continent and it's a lawless society. I hope this video was helpful to you. I'll send you blessings. Look for the next one.